All right, so as we were talking last class, okay, and I just want to reiterate, we started with 2D shapes, okay? We talked about how we can take any 2D shape, a square, a rectangle, a heart, let's do a stop sign, the octagon, okay? And you could do any shape that we want to, okay? We talked about also doing that type of shape, and then we even brought into the picture this thing that kind of looks like a stair, and we could sit here all day doing a whole myriad of different types of shapes, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 2 more, okay? So make sure, what you need to do is make sure you've got at least 10 shapes, okay? Now, what was the other thing that we mentioned that was important besides the shapes? Does anybody remember?
Is the way where the 3D shapes. Okay, let me just basically when you're creating a 1-point perspective, you have to draw 3D shapes in that way of the dot and make it look like the shape is going in that direction, or else it's going to look like it's shooting everywhere.
Right. You said the magical word, and the magical word was dot, okay? That dot is basically called the vanishing point. That's the point at which everything vanishes, okay? So here, I'll tell you what, I'll put my dot right there, and you only need one dot for for all these shapes. You just need one dot. Now, what's gonna happen, if you guys remember, all edges that are closest to the point go to the point, to the point, to the point, to the point, and you just keep on. Whatever edge could go to that point, you take it there, okay? I'm gonna do the same thing to this one here. I'm gonna move that over so you guys can see it a little bit better. Okay. All the edges closest to have to go to that point. I'm not gonna do all of them today. I'll do a few, okay? And then I'm gonna talk about something that's a little bit more difficult, because I think I might have 1 or 2 kids that could tackle that, okay? Now, the next step. Does anybody remember what that next step was? What do we do next? We had the shape, the 2D shape. We took all the edges that were closest to the point to the point. What do we do next? How do we separate it? We separate it with what? Do you guys?
Dog, light to dark, something like that?
Well, light to dark, yes, we do that later, okay? But what I talked about last class was something called a parallel, okay? Yeah. Sorry. Okay, remember, parallel lines are lines that are side by side, they never touch, okay? So I'm adding in my parallel lines, okay? Parallel, 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 parallel. Same 2 here. I'm gonna keep on going until I'm done with this entire shape. Make sure I'm on camera so you guys can see me. Yeah, so and the only thing that's happening is I'm just doing parallels. I'm looking at this line and I'm judging this line. I say, okay, that's a parallel line. Okay, so now I have this 3D form. I don't need to keep those extra straight lines. Those extra straight lines are basically something called construction lines. I could erase those lines after I'm done. I do not need them. They're not important for the design, okay? So now I have my 3D shape suspended in space, okay? Now let's do that one more time. Let me get a little closer so you guys might be able to see it a little bit better, okay? And in here, okay, I didn't do the parallels yet. So, and I don't need a ruler for this one because it's an odd shape. So what I'm gonna do is I look at this line and it's parallel, then I basically echo whatever is, okay, it's like a shape, the same shape, the same shape. And then here, same here, and the same here. Now, I don't need those other lines to get me there. Now, I have what? That 3D suspended organic shape in front of me, okay? So now, this is just to wrap up what we did last class, okay? Now, another thing. In case I have anybody that fits this category and says, wait a minute, this is too easy. I did this before in middle school. I had art, yada, yada, yada. Some of you might be more intrigued in doing an assignment that you're using one vanishing point. And I'll tell you how I usually start this one off is I'll go ahead and I put a diagonal this way and I put a diagonal this way. And then from there, I just start creating. And I could create anything. I could go ahead and make a building scene. Now, I will tell you, the law is everything has to be vertical. It has to be horizontal. Sorry about that additional line. Horizontal, or it's going to the vanishing point. So those are the only lines that you're putting down, okay? Now, next thing. So here, I put a horizontal, a vertical line. Now, let's say I want to turn this into, I don't know, could be a hallway, could be a building. I would simply go about putting in the beginning parts of my building, okay? And now, I already have the lines to delineate. Now, all I need is another side. So now I have one building sitting in this, on my sketch pad, okay, one building and partial street, okay, that I started. Now I could continue to draw more. Here's another one. I'll put another line in, another vertical. But now I have to show the dimension of the city scene or the building, and I'll come in with a horizontal, because remember the law is everything's horizontal, it's vertical, or it's going to the vanishing point. So right there, that's that 2D form, okay, that we talked about before, and it's our little building that we're about to make. Take it to the point, and this is already to the point. All I really have to do is just go back over the line so you can see it better. And then I'm going to do my parallel, parallel, parallel. And then, there we go. Now I've got, what? 2 blocks next to different buildings next to each other. Okay? And, oh boy, I could have loads of fun. I could go ahead and make my world whatever I want to do. I could go ahead and now put my sidewalk in. And my sidewalk, I can then go ahead and put the cracks in the sidewalk in. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'll take it all the way across. I'll do it on the other side too, and I'm not done with the sidewalk. There's more details to the sidewalk, because everybody knows sidewalks are not flat, right? Everybody knows that we could put our foot up on the curb and we could, there's gutters, there's all kinds of interesting things that can happen. Now, the next line that I'm going to put in is the depth, or the width, or the height, I should say, of the sidewalk. So now, and this one, you could use the ruler. You have to go ahead and put your vertical lines in. And I tell you what, I'm pretty good at drawing verticals. I usually don't mess up. So I'm just going to freehand those if that's okay with you. But you go ahead and use a ruler. So now, what have I started here? I've started almost like a little city scene, okay, that I could go ahead and create. So is this 1 point perspective? Yeah. Okay, so if you want to have fun with this, you could even go an extra step. You want to create a car. You want to create a truck. That's easy. you just start it off. I usually start off by locating whatever it is that I want to start with. And then from there, I know that I have to go horizontal or vertical. And it's going to look weird at first. It's not going to look like a car or a truck, but eventually in a few minutes it will after I finish with it. Okay.